Baroness Foster, can I ask you, if Sir Keir Starmer does achieve this moderate fall in net migration numbers, do you think voters will give Labour credit for it?
Well, I think there is a credibility problem, and that's the issue, because even today there were clips of Sir Keir talking about how he welcomed migration, and now all of a sudden we have this determination, he says, to deal with illegal migration.
So what if the numbers do fall?
Well, if the numbers fall, I welcome that, and I do welcome the fact that he is going to tackle illegal immigration, but I think there is a credibility gap there at the moment, and as you have seen with Baroness Smith, who of course was a former Home Secretary, there is an issue there, and they really have to get to grips with that. And of course this is in response to reform and how they did at the local elections and winning Runcorn. They have realised that the people are telling us that they're worried about immigration, and Jackie Smith mentioned not just in terms of skills but also talked about security and opportunity for people here. And I think that's very welcome that there's a recognition of that. But in terms of the care home workers, that is a huge thing to try and tackle, because we all know that our care homes have a lot of very good people from abroad working in there. What I'm pleased to see is that the level of English actually is going up a grade, because if you're in a care home, you're an elderly person, you're already disorientated, and somebody can't speak English to you, then there is a problem there, and I welcome the fact that that's been tackled.
Right. Although they are banning visas for overseas workers for care homes in the future. So, Alex, to pledge.
Sorry. But the point I was going to raise was when you asked about who's going to pay for this, I think that's a critical point, because, of course, employers, small employers in particular, are being hit with raises in the national insurance contributions, the minimum wage, up to a living wage. And now are they going to have to put in skills programmes as well and pay for those, or are government going to help with those? And that's a question I want to hear the answer to. What are they going to do?
There are a lot of questions still to be answered. Does Starmer have known the similarities between the language that he used in his speech today and the phrase used by Enoch Powell all those years ago?
Somebody did in Downing Street. I'm convinced of it. And Island of Strangers.
So it was deliberate.
Island of Strangers is a very particular form of words. It's almost a term of art. So where did it come from, and who was the person that said this should go into the speech?
OK. Baroness Foster, you are an original Brexiteer. We are now in a very uncertain world. Would you welcome a UK defence and security pact with the EU?
Well, of course, that's different from economic and societal issues. So I don't have an issue with a bilateral agreement. And of course, we don't need a super defence because we have one. It's called NATO. And so we should be trying to work through NATO. And it's important that we keep the Americans on side. And we know all of their concerns around NATO. But it's important that we don't allow them to step out of NATO, and that we keep them in NATO and we work with European colleagues. But I'm really aghast to hear that fishing is coming into the middle of this, because that has nothing to do with security.
Well, no, she said it's not an issue anymore.
Well, I hope it's not an issue, because it certainly shouldn't be in the pot.
Sure. What do you think, Baroness Foster? I could see you smiling.
Well, I am smiling. But I spoke to some colleagues in Gibraltar today, and they are saying that they're very close to a deal in terms of Gibraltar and the EU, which is good news. But the one difference between Northern Ireland and Gibraltar is actually Gibraltar has been very much in the middle of the negotiations with the UK government, whereas Northern Ireland was left on the by side.
Good night.